Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at modularizing our code. So to modularize, we use functions. So modularize meaning we contain certain elements of similar code in certain little baskets, right? Each, we're going to separate our code into logical, readable formats. So what we're looking at high level is one way. First, we're going to initialize the card deck. So just imagine the deck being built right away and just being ready to be used. Then we're going to build a way to just pull a card off that deck. And then we're going to have our main function, which is kind of like, hey, I'm sitting down at the table with the dealer and we're playing the game. So by separating this code into these different concerns, it makes our code a lot easier to read, maintain, and reuse because as you'll see later on, we're going to reuse some of this code more than once, and it's going to be a lot easier when we do this. Quick disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only, and it does not promote gambling in any way. We are building something that's very similar to a blackjack application, so let's jump into it. First thing I want to do here is define our functions. So we're going to have a function that first it's going to reuse this code. We did this code in a previous video. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend you go watch that. All it does is it creates the deck of 52 cards, and we're ignoring the suit. So to modularize this code, to initialize a deck, all we need to do is give the function a name here. You put def, this is the function name, parentheses, colon, that defines our function, and then we tab it over. So Python uses tabs. That's how it knows all of this code belongs to this function here. And that's all it takes. But one important detail is this deck variable is not accessible outside of the program. So something called return will make this deck accessible to the program, other parts of our program. So return means that when we call this function, we get this variable back out on the other side. So that's our first usage of a function. Let's continue. If that didn't make sense, I'll go into more detail here in just a second. So here we're going to take a draw card function. So this is how we're calling this our draw card function. So it takes in the deck. So imagine it's a deck of 50 cards because it's already dealt out 2 cards. And then it's just going to pull that top card off, or in this case, the bottom card because it's doing pop. So pop without an integer just pulls from the bottom. Doesn't make a difference. And that's going to also return, it's going to return the card here. So let's do, it's going to return this card variable. So now it's very important to realize that this is returning a card, but how is it knowing what the deck is? Because we sent in this parameter called deck. So we're sending this information into the function, and out from the function we just get one card from that deck. And this being sent by reference should update the original deck as well. That's something that's inherent inside of Python, sending by reference. We'll get into that at a later point as well. And now we're just going to build a quick little main function that uses all of this information. So here, we've run our initialize deck function here, and we've put that information into a deck. So maybe for readability, we'll call it card deck here to be a little bit different than up here. And here, this returns a deck function. So everything on the right-hand side is going to become what this return value is. So now the deck is going into this card deck variable in our main function. Remember, main is our function that is running the program. And now we can create a couple of hands. We'll call the player hand and the dealer hand. This is how blackjack is played. And we can use our draw card function to draw a couple of cards out of our program here. So this is card deck here. So now player hand has 2 cards, and we do the exact same thing for our dealer hand, and we will print them. Print dealer hand. So we're reusing this code here, draw card, to pull this information out of the deck. Now you could just write this code right here, but it's a little bit more readable, a little bit more intuitive to be writing the functions this way. And then to call our main function, I'm just gonna copy and paste this over here. This is the proper way to call your main function here. This has to do with doing more modules, but we'll get into that later as well. So you can see here, the first player, the player hand is an ace and a 5, and the dealer hand is a 10 and a 3. And we can just show that it's random by running it several times. So yeah, this is how you can create functions and modularize your code. Now you can see, you can understand the game flow a little better, and this will help us build out our code into a big program that's going to handle the entire game and make it a lot easier. That's all we're going to cover in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.